So we have been taught by Srila Rupa Goswami in Sri Krishna Namastakam how to chant Shuddhana. Shuddhana is there, how do we have to think, how do we have to meditate on, and how we can perceive the upliftment in the Prema ras, which is the direct result of Shuddhana. Without Shuddhana, there is no love of God. So we have to learn how to chant and how to pray to Shuddhana so he can be merciful. Alright. Sri Krishna Namastakam number 4. Yad Brahma Sakrat Kati Nirthayadapi Vinasham Ayati Vinada Bhogai Apaiti Nama Spuranena Tatte Prarabdha Karneti Viroti Veda. The Veda says a person may obtain direct perception of the Brahman effulgence by steadfast, sincere, and long-lasting continuous meditation. However, he will not be able to completely eradicate the results of his prarabdha karma, reactions of his productive activities, which have already begun to fructify. So a person who is an impersonalist, he'll be still stuck with his prarabdha karma. Means the previous karma of the previous life which has not been fructified, yes. And he may be directly approaching the impersonal Brahman by all these processes. Steadfast, sincere, and long-lasting continuous meditation. But on impersonal aspect.
So Maharaj, then it's that Bhagavad Gita slok comes in the picture. Tesam antagatam papam.
Tesham antagatam papam jananam punyakarmanam te dvanda mohat nimrutta bhajante mam pradavati. This is completely in contrast. So this particular verse is telling you that even though a born impersonalist who is jumping on the meditation and he uses so many different types of caricatures like posture, then meditation on Omkar even, which is simply an indicator of the Supreme. But Omkar doesn't have a form except the letter. Alright? And you cannot meditate on the personality of Omkar. Personality of Omkar cannot be meditated. Rather, you will want something, an effulgent that is so immense that you will try to concentrate on it. But even you close your eyes, but in the sun, you will be able to see the light still penetrating the eyelids. So, impersonalists are like that. They wanted to concentrate on the impersonal, which is very effulgent, but they are not able to remove their prarabdha karma. So, how are they going to get liberated? Yanyer arvindaksha vimuktamanina. Tayasta bhava avishuddha buddhaya. Avishuddha buddhaya means their intelligence is not purified yet. They think they are liberated. Aruhya krichena parama padam tata patanti yada anadra deshmati angra. Because, my dear Lord, they have not caught hold of your personality's lotus feet. They don't have shelter, any person. So they eventually fall down. So, prarabdha karma is still hanging. That's why they have to come down. While in bhakti karma, there is no prarabdha karma remaining. Whatever we do, it becomes a permanent asset and it will help us to progress further in the next life if we are unable to finish in this life. There is no prarabdha karma. As much devotional service you can render in this life becomes a permanent asset. And you may still progress further and further and further. You may not be able to finish in one life, but you don't have to disappoint. Your assets are permanent. While in the karma, no assets are permanent. They are simply to be utilized and will make you bankrupt. Otherwise, a miser who doesn't want to utilize his previous good karmas, then he will also suffer. Misers are never happy. So the Veda says a person may obtain direct perception of Brahman effulgence by steadfast, sincere and long-lasting continuous meditation. However, he will not be able to completely eradicate the results of his prarabdha karma, reactions of the fruiting activities, which have already begun to fructify. Prarabdha karma starts fructifying in this life, of the previous life, unpaid karma. Unpaid karma. They have to be experienced by material enjoyment and suffering. Yet, as soon as a small particle of your merciful glare starts to reveal its effect, the entire constellations of prarabdha karma is annihilated. Constellations means what? Aggregate of all the stars. It means from many, many lives we go parvatam upariyadha, up and down movement between one planet to another. So you may have even gone through so many planetary systems for higher and higher happiness, but prarabdha karma will bring you down anyway. But a small particle of your merciful glare, merciful glance is also having a glare. People try to see in the sadhu's eyes something magical. Some may think from the sadhu's face, tej is coming out. From his eyes, some kind of beams are coming in, it penetrates your eyes. That's imagination. But here they say the particle of Lord's merciful glance or glare starts to reveal its effect. The entire constellation of prarabdha karma is annihilated by the mercy of the Lord. A slight mercy. If we follow the path of bhakti, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhaya. Just a little of execution of pure devotional service can relieve us from the greatest danger of falling down again. The words viroti, vedaha are significant. Roti means to call out or to roar or to cry even. Roti. And we means very much. This means that the Vedas very much emphatically call out their verdict. That, yes, mercy of the Lord is enough. And the Vedas, which is the singular number, expresses that all the Vedas join together, or together join in this statement. It is not merely opinion of some of them. When the Veda is singularly used, it is one Veda, which Vyasadeva divided into four. So naturally, when Veda, singular word is used, not Vedas, singular word is used, it means they combine together, all of them. However, as Srila Haridas Thakur explains, the burning of sinful reactions, and the liberation of material again. Infallible knowledge of the absolute truth and detachment from the material world. These are two byproducts of bhakti. So similarly, these two byproducts are also coming out of the unfathomable love. A little tinge of love is good enough for a little insignificant living entity. It doesn't need more. What's your size? Extra large? No. That is the point. We are so much insignificant that it is calculated. If you take the tip of the hair and 1/10,000th portion is the size of the chitkana, that is Dharma. Baladra satabhadra satabhadasya satadhamsi kalpitasya cha. This is an estimation. It's just to make you understand. But it is so minute that you can't see yourself. But yet you have to realize, to come in front of the Supreme Paramatma, who can be smaller than you even. Ano raniyam mahato maniyam. Is smaller than the smallest and bigger than the biggest simultaneously. But how the smallest is represented by the biggest? When he comes as Krishna, he is love personified. Krishna is love personified. You don't get that kind of love with any other incarnations. Even Vishnu. They are not loving objects. What to speak of demigods? How much love can you render? You transact only material calculations in the business order. Therefore, in order to inaugurate a rati, means the attraction, affection for the holy name, Rupa Goswami quotes some of the numberless sweet names of Krishna. Aghadamana Yashodanandanao Nandasuno Kavalanayanan Gopi Chandra Vrindavanendraha Pranatakurna Karuna Ke Krishnav iti aneka swarupe Tvaim mamam ratir uchchair vardatam Namadheya, Namadheya. Oh Sri Harina, you manifest in many forms, like Agadaman, the subduer of Agadima, Yashodanandan, the son of Yashoda, Nandasuna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, Kamalanayanan, the lotus-eyed, Gopi Chandra, the moon of the gopis, Vrindavanendra, the Lord of Vrindavan, Pranantaka, the compassionate master of the surrendered souls, and Krishna. O holy name, let my attachment to you, for you, increase more and more. All these names belong to Krishna, who played wonderful pastimes, and he is known with those characters like Agadamana. He subdued Agasura. He killed him. In Bharatpur, which is 35 kilometers of Mathura, there's a whole bird sanctuary, but it is a jungle. And there is a python point. The town name is called Agapur. Krishna sent Agasur from that town, and he came and entered in Vrindavan. So, when we say, even physically, if we visit there, you will see pythons are just lying. It's a natural bird sanctuary, so visitors from all over the world come there. Bharatpur sanctuary was there. I had an ashram there. For 4 years I ran. So anyway, Agananda. Aga means sin. Aga means sin. This is sin personified. And Krishna subdued it. And he is known by that name. Every activity of Krishna is uncommon and it is celebrated as loving names in Vrindavan. All the names of Lord Shri Krishna, Brajendra Nandan, Yashoda Nandan, everything. Nobody knows him as a Devaki Nandan or Vasudeva. Nobody calls him. Krishna and Ram are the chief names. Why are we chanting out of thousands of names of Lord Krishna only Hare Krishna Mahamantra? Why? Anybody? Can't hear.
He said that was the original name.
That's not the reason. Yeah, chief, there are two names, two types of names. Principal names and subordinate names. They are principal names. But what's the difference between them? What's the difference between the principal names and subordinate names?
Principal name is the original name and the subordinate name is came from the Leelas.
Occasionally Leela and became another name, like Mohan, Rancho.
All the other names are from the
If you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, this is the Mahamantra to obtain love of Lord Krishna. Because Krishna had a loving relationship only in Vrindavan. And he distributed it freely to all different kinds of his associates. Why are we chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra and not Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya or on Sri Krishna Sharanam Mama? Sri Krishna Sharanam Mama is, Sri Krishna is my shelter. I surrender to him. Alright, that is it. But without seva, how can you surrender? You are keeping seva absent from surrender. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur tells us there are 6 symptoms needed to be surrendered. 6. Our readiness to give up everything for Lord Krishna. Humility. Second. The third thing is Krishna will protect me and Krishna will maintain me. Therefore, I will do only favorable service to Krishna and reject unfavorable service to him. These are the 6 requirements to take shelter of the Lord's Spirit. So, if you are receiving the holy name, then you have to take the shelter of the holy name. With these 6 symptoms, I cannot separate the Hare Krishna Mahamantra from my life. It is as vital as my breath. Shraddha Shabde Sudrada Vishwashakar Nishchaya Krishna Bhakti Karine Sarva Karma. That is called Shraddha. hanky-panky, Shraddha. We have to learn. Beat them up. If we have to cross the ocean of this material suffering, it is everywhere. Suffering is also in Las Vegas.
I think we have decided that we'll all do next birth.
Okay.
It's not going to be able to do this.
That you also decided in your last birth. Can't pass it on. So, if you want to just taste the little love of Lord Krishna, then chant Hare Krishna. Because these are the primary names filled with love. Nobody knew Krishna other than Krishna and Ram in Vrindavan. What is lacking everywhere, whether you go to California or New York? What is lacking? Love. You hanker and you transform it into so many convenient reasonings, which are all bogus. We are all hankering for little love. And we do not know the reservoir of love is Krishna. That's why he is called Ram. Ramanti yogina satyanande chidatmani iti rama padenasha parabrahma vidhiyate. That is Anandamayo Vyasa. These are the aphorisms for Brahma Sutras. And Vyasadeva wrote them. And he is the one to expand it, not Adi Shankara. We have to refer Rupa Goswami and Laghu Bhagavatamritam. It describes everything. What is our cardinal truth? What is our, what we call,
Constitutional position.
sutra, the formula? What is our
Constitutional position.
Param Satya? It described in Srimad Bhagavatam. It's about Krishna.
Always remember Krishna.
Eh?
Always remember Krishna in your forgetfulness.
Ete chan sakala punsa Krishnastu bhagavanasvayam. This is our cardinal truth, and we have to stick on it. We have to defend on it. And even it is victorious over Lord Vishnu being the Supreme. But we have to prove along with the verdict of the Shastras that has been explained. So read Laghu Bhagavatamritam of Rupa Goswami. We studied, but it gives light to so many cardinal truths. That why we are Hare Krishnas in the first place.
So Guru Maharaj, the Krishna's name is the only one which can arouse the love as compared to any other Leelanrut name.
Right? People are differentiating Krishna and Ram because Ramchandra happened to be, so he is the first Bhagwan and Krishna is the second Bhagwan. Are Bhava? Ram means the reservoir of pleasure, and Ramchandra did not execute that. Didn't show that he was a reservoir of pleasure. He made everybody suffer because he had to go to Ayodhya. He was a reservoir of pleasure, but he never exhibited. He gave up the pleasure in front of Satya. So he exhibited only partial truth, partial realizations. What is truth? Absolute truth. What is Tulsidas is saying about? Prana jaya fir vachan na jaya. पर वचन क्या है? हाँ? वचन क्या है? Because Krishna never lies, Ramchandra will not lie, and he will execute. So let father go to, have another birth. Let Kaikeyi and all other queens suffer. I will go to Chandra. Where is the pleasure? How will you get pleasure? When Ramchandra was looking for Sita, Ravan abducted her. But that was Maya Sita. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got that from South India. The explanation that how Agnidev protected Sita. Therefore she had to pass through Agni Pariksha, and Agnidev brought her alive back. Otherwise, Ravan could not touch. I was just watching one of these YouTube. It says, there was a question. How did Ravana was looking at Sita? He says she was like her daughter. That was the vision of Rama. Who knows where did he get from? Huh? Ravan cannot touch Sita. If she raised her eyes, bro, he would have been finished. Now, how can she's going to be kidnapped? So we have to think on the spirituality of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appeared in the form of Ramchandra as Anshankala of the Supreme Absolute Truth. Hare Krishna is Bhagavan Swayam. Nobody can say Ramchandra is Bhagavan Swayam. Because Bhagavatam doesn't say. So, O Sri Harinam, you manifest in many forms like Agadamana, the subduer of the Agha demon, Yashodanandana, the son of Yashoda, Nandasuna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, Kamalanayana, the lotus-eyed, Gopi Chandra, the moon of the gopis, Vrindavanendra, the Lord of Vrindavan, Pranant Karuna, the compassionate master of the surrendered soul, and Krishna. These are all names belonging to Vrindavan. They are primary names, even connected with the demons, because there is Leela. Now Rupa Goswami speaks of the two Swarupas, or forms in which Krishna appears in the material world, namely his personal form as the deity and his holy name. Generally, the personal form is considered more important than someone's name, but in Krishna's case, his name is more important. Name is more important than the body. The reason is given in the next sloka. Number 6. Vachyam vachakam iti udeti bhavato mama swarupadvayam purvasmat param eva hanta karunam tatrapi janimahe yah tasmin vihita aparadha nivaha prani samantad bhavet ashnedam upasya so apihi sadananda ambudhav majjati. O holy name, you appear in two forms, Vachyam, the deity form of the Supreme Lord, and Vachakam, of the transcendental name. Vachyam means one object of whom it is spoken about. The object means the body of whom we are addressing. So he is appearing in the Vachyam form and Vachakam, the transcendental names. Of these two, we consider the form of the holy syllable to be infinitely more compassionate than the form of the deity. Because if a person is having taken shelter of the deity from form, commits aparadhas, offenses, and only recourse he has is to become the servant of the holy name and chant incessantly Krishna, Govinda, and so on. See? You can commit offenses to the deity worship. And yet, you have to beg forgiveness through his holy name. Can you understand this? There are two forms of Lord Krishna. The deity form of Lord Krishna and the holy name of Krishna. Right? Out of that, most of the neophytes, those who are not knowing what devotionals are, but they are very pious and they come and take darshan, most of us. We are eager to take the darshan, but we cannot communicate. We may have some feelings, or sometimes we come to express our feelings or our unhappiness and other things to relieve from. Chaturvidha bhajante mam janaha sukritina arjuna. Artho artharthi jnanacha bhartasha. Artho artharthi jigyasu and jnani. 4 types of people come to Krishna. And one is who is unhappy, he comes. Artha, dukhi. Artharthi. भगवान रोटरी लगावा मैं मानता हूँ. Next is jigyasu, inquisitive, what's going on? Wow, they have decorated so much. This, that, lets me find out more and more about it. Is attracted to inquire. Jigyasu and jnani, those who are settled in knowledge that yes, there is no difference between the deity of the Lord and the Lord himself, or the name. So like that. So, we may commit offenses. Deity may not respond to neophytes. But yet, because they have material hankerings, they come to him to get their fulfilled. But they do not understand what is the reciprocation of Krishna. Only their measure, oh, lottery lag gayi, chalo, भगवान आपको भी चढ़ावा दे देते हैं, हम भी ले लेते हैं. But that's very materialistic, relief of some problem for some time. That is not permanent. But nonetheless, people put faith in them. So, out of that, Krishna says, Jnani is the best one. Tesham Jnani Uttama. The best is the Jnani, because he is rightly situated. Others are not rightly situated to know the love of God. So, if we commit offenses to the deity worship, then we have to beg, forgiveness. So the pujaris are always trained up that by the end of the puja, they will have to beg the forgiveness. Without that, they cannot get out of the altar. Aparad sahasrani karishyam maya dasoham iti matva kshamasva madhusudana pratigya tava govinda name bhakta pranashyati iti sansmriti pranam samadhyaya. Beautiful verse is there. It says, my dear Lord, I have committed knowingly or unknowingly so many offenses. But I am your servant. Just like Master forgives the servant, please forgive. And I have conformity because you have promised in Bhagavad Gita, Name Bhakta Pranashyati. Name Bhakta Pranashyati. It is also, I'm just remembering that because it's your promise that my devotee will never perish. So by your immeasurable transcendental potency, all these offenses disappear and he experiences uninterrupted joy, submerged in the ocean of ecstasy. You can see the reflection on the face of the pujari whether he is in tune with the deity worship or not. That is the nature. That's why we call the quality of a pujari is to be calculated and how much intensified devotional service he must have. In other words, because the chanting of the holy name has the power to nullify offenses against the deity, Srila Rupa Goswami considers chanting to be the most effective means of sadhana. A pujari cannot lapse his chanting. He has promised. So he has to chant. He has to become example. The next verse reveals the realization of a devotee who has attained the platform of Shuddhanam and sees the form of Shyam Sundar before his eyes. Drashta eva atmanishvare. Number 7. Sodita strita janarati rasaye Ramya Chida Ghana Sukha Swarupine Nama Gokula Bahut Sevaya Te Krishna Purna Vapure Namo Namaha. O holy name, you destroy the entirety of the sufferings of your surrendered devotees. You are eternally manifest in the transcendental form of intensified bliss. To the residents of Gokula, you are the source of unending festival of joy and divine pleasure, and you are always saturated in your magnificent glory and sweetness. So, this is for the advanced devotees that they realize by rendering the requisites of pure devotional service. He is not a ritualistic because he has to render the service in accordance to the requirement. And that is Haribhakti Vilas is telling. Our Dainya Nandini, what they call. regular our activities, starting from waking up early times, clean up ourselves. Prabhupada taught everything to the beginners. I have slept with so many devotees in one room, and we had our, what they call, sleeping bags. But when we get up, we have to roll our sleeping bags, wash clean, because whatever this perspiration might have come out, the floor will remain clean. Everybody had to do that. Starting from that, take a cold shower. Become alert. Cold shower. In our times, hot water was a taboo. Here, everybody can take cold shower anytime. But the spoiled brutes, even people are asking, do you have air conditioner? Do you have hot water? As an amenities, But that training one has, today hardly anybody will go. I know in New York, for even up to 1979, when we sold out the 340 West Street, for 2 years, 77, 78, and 79 we sold out. So 78 and 79, I have gone through winters. We didn't have Con Edison heat because we didn't pay bills. So they cut us from electricity and hot water. Both were supplied by Con Edison in New York City. And still they are Lord Masters. And there was a pipe going through, from my floor. I was on 8th floor, and there were 13 floors up. So the pipe was frozen, and at the joint there were icicles. Right? And I had nothing but only sleeping bag, and I used to pack myself and go to bed. But we have common bathrooms at that time, and there is a tub shower. The flowing water never freezes. So that was the good part of it. So we count 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 get out. It will be cleaned off. But that courage we had, even before our time, even in early times, Srila Prabhupada trained them. Now, in LA area, there is one devotee, old devotee, his name is Patrikananda. And he had the reminiscence when San Francisco temple was opened. It was a very small tenement, and Prabhupada was coming for the second time after opening that. And it requires so many repairs for fixing his room. And so devotees were there. And at that time there were 40 devotees in the movement. And very few were in New York, but second was in San Francisco. So Karangar was the president there, and devotees were working overnight, and they have to chant also, and they didn't have much sleep, so they have tendency to doze off, right? Starting from that, Kalandar was so strict, like a military, person. He had a mug of for taking bath. He will give only one bucket and says, out of this bucket, 10 people must take bath. So I'll give you 10 mugs of water, Okay? But how come you don't have shaved head? Go and sit in bed and somebody will shave you off. So, in a rush, he will shave off with the same blade, so somebody will get scar and somebody had bleeding. Somebody had even shika shaved off. And it is completely very odd, nothing like that. But Karandar made sure that all the devotees would be at Mangalarti. And Prabhupada would come to Mangalarti. So, this was before Prabhupada came to visit San Francisco Temple. The devotees are overworked. Day and night they were trying to fix the room, so Prabhupada can have a comfortable stay. So, chanting after all the hard work, and that too after getting up Mangalarti, attend Mangalarti, they were not much comfortable, but they were pushing on through this austerity. Somebody would have a bucket of water on his head to chant because he may fall, so bucket will prevent him to fall. And then somebody would start jumping up and down while chanting, but when he jumps up, he closes his eyes. That is the only sleep he will get. But as soon as he fall off, then he will have to wake up. They were doing so many different kinds of experiments to keep them awake. So, the devotees have to go through this kind. It is more than military. I was reading the article in last year's Back to God magazine of October, November. One Mataji, she is from military, and she was very much interested in seeing this discipline that Srila Prabhupada had. And said, oh, this is just like our training. In the military, boys and girls are trained in a very, very strict way, very rugged way. That's also done in India. And they are happily doing it. And here, Prabhupada was introducing the similar kind of austerity, and the devotees were doing it. But what they received in terms of love of Godhead is more than what we are receiving today. Because it's strict discipline. Internal discipline and external discipline, both are required. So,
I have one question here before you move forward. That it says that holy name, you destroy the entirety of the suffering of your surrendered devotee.
right.
So when the definition of surrendered devotee would be then, so here I'm pretty sure that we are talking about both material and spiritual sufferings.
There is no spiritual suffering. It is a misnomer.
Okay, then material sufferings, when we talk, then we are seeing a lot of devotees, they suffer with the material things.
Yes, if they stop complaining, it means they are more tolerant. They thank Krishna. Tatte anukampam susamikshamanam gunjanam evatma kritam vipakam radavad vapurvi vidatam namaste jiveta sarva mukti pade sadaya bhakam. It is, Brahma is telling to Krishna, this is your anukampa, this is your mercy. So samikshma, because you are equally exposed to both sufferer or liberated people. Samiksha. And on one side, Bhunjanti Kritam Vipakam, if somebody is suffering from his, previous activities, but if he is with Rad, Vag and Vapu, Rad means Hriday, heart, Vag means Vacha, and Vapu means body. Vidadam Namaste. If he is clinging on to your mercy simply, then he is qualified to be liberated within this lifetime. So external suffering is an apparent cause, but if we are able to tolerate in service of Krishna, then the reward is immense. Because both are of opposite worlds. So, a person who is inclined to reciting the Shuddhana, he is almost on the same platform of a liberated person. I offer my repeated obeisances unto Lord your Lotus feet. Srila Rupa Goswami concludes by praying for the supreme benediction which is obtainable from Sri Harinamamrita Prabhu, Harinamrita Prabhu, that the holy name may appear in his pure form by dancing on the tongue of the chanter. See? Prabhupada was so emphatic. If you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna will dance on your tongue. And you may not see him. Tongue is vibrating. And it's vibrating rhythmically and resounding the holy name with love. Both are coming from the tongue's vibrations. How do you chant? Are you chanting with love and affection towards Krishna? It will be direct perception. If you chant, Krishna will dance on your tongue. That means we will have to cultivate the vision how to chant and how to see Krishna is dancing on us. If we fail to do, then our chanting is not Shuddhana. We have to chant Shuddhana. We have so many obstacles or the thoughts of unbelief or disbelief, what we call it. And we try to interject this way, that way, but nothing is congenial and befitting the glory of the holy name. Better repeat after Rupa Goswami's. Recite this and it will induce love of God. Because they are direct perception. They have direct perception. Otherwise, how can one be so much empowered to even excavate the holy places of pilgrimage in Vrindavan? They are the first one in 500 years to erect the temples. From zero to nothing. No, from zero to everything. The whole Vrindavan was a jungle. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent 6 Goswamis, go, excavate, do your sadhana and write the books on the holy name. Because the holy name is the only method for our salvation in this Kali Yuga. Kalau dosha nidhe rajan asti eko mahatma kirtanad eva krishnasya mutta sangam paramajit. So, in this way, we have to understand. The last verse is Narada Vinod Jana Suddhormi Niryasya Madhuripura Tvam Krishna Nama Kamam Spurame Rasane Sada. O Krishna's name, you are the life force of Sri Narada's Veena, and you are constantly increasing the sweetness of the delightful waves in the ocean of nectar. Out of your causeless mercy, kindly appear on my tongue incessantly and bestow me an unalloyed affection to the Lord. Narada Muni Bajaye Vina Radhika Ramana Name. He is the greatest of all devotees in the line. Brahma taught to Narada. Narada taught to Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva taught to Madhvacharya. And Madhvacharya's line, Madhavendra Puri and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So many came. And Srila Prabhupada also brought the same thing. So, the eternal associate of the Lord, Narada Muni, is glorifying the holy name on his Veena. How exactly he will be playing? Veena may have only 7 suras. But in the musical art of bygone ages, even in India, and still some are practicing, but on a lower level, that the sound vibration comes from the string instrument like Veena. It should resemble the same sound vibration as Krishna, Ram, Radhika, Ramana, Nama. So, Narada Muni doesn't have to chant. No, he also chants, and his Veena also chants. Radhika, Ramana. We have so many so-called expert musicians, like tabla player also. You know, I have seen, I have heard. They want to say the whole Ganesh Stuti that they will do on tabla, as if kata tab bola na, isliye tabla. Otherwise, it was Mridanga. Amir Khushru say he cut into 2 pieces. So even though he cut into 2 pieces, it sounds. So the expert players are trying to bring out the sound, but the cheap also imitation, because tabla has bowls in it. Da, din, din, da, like that. But these bowls are bringing out the sound of the Supreme name, Krishna, Ganapati, and Pakwash, the Ganapati, and you can hear. Some cheap people also came and said, hey, look, we had the train before, the train was steam engine, and how does steam engine boom, 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 boom. So they play that tabla as if the train is going. So everybody has a different perception on the sound vibrations. Even Narendra Modi makes a joke of it. That I was traveling in the train, he said, and the train was moving and it was making noise, right? Kada, kat, 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 kada, kat. So he was interpreting. So there were 3 different kinds of people, of different religion, and they interpreted differently. So he is making a joke on that. But the point is that somehow or another we try to interpret the whole sound vibration. How come even the wireless, or not wireless, what was that? In the beginning, when you had to send the message.
Dial-up
Eh?
fax. Dial-up and fax. The dial-up.
Telegram.
No, it was the
Telegram.
Telegraphic message.
telegram.
It has only 2-3 words.
Morse code.
Talk, tick, talk, tick. So then they interpret. This is the message. So you can see all the material sound vibrations are also coming closer. But these transcendental sound vibrations, they have the same meaning even while chanting. Whose names are chanting, the same personality will be present. You may not know that you are chanting and Krishna is dancing on your tongue. You may not know. Because we have so much material obstructions within our mind, our perception. So we have to clean. So those who are in love of Godhead, Krishna can come and manifest on his tongue and they will see Krishna is dancing. So, out of your causeless mercy, kindly appear on my tongue incessantly and bestow me with unalloyed affection to the Lord. Narad Muni is a pure devotee of Krishna who is constantly travels throughout the universe and sings the glories of Krishna, accompanied by his string instrument called Veena. Thus the word Narad Vinochanam expresses that the chanting of the holy name is the sum and substance of the glorification of glorifying the Lord. It gives life to all other processes of Bhakti Yoga. So who will be that stone-hearted who would not want to chant Hare Krishna regularly? Take up the beads and start chanting. Thank you very much. Anybody has any comment or question? Yes.
Question. After chanting kariye, so how do we concentrate? That is so hard.
Concentrate on the sound vibration. Here comes first, then chant. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. We do other way. And Gujarati માં તો બહુ મોટી કુટેવ છે. એક જણો ગાવા માંડે એટલે બધા જ સાથે લાગી જાય. જ્યારે એક જણાએ બોલવાનું હોય ત્યારે બીજા સાંભળે અને પછી પ્રત્યુત્તર રૂપે બધા સાથે બોલે. તેનું નામ કીર્તન અને સંકીર્તન. આટલું ફંડામેન્ટલમાં પણ આપણે બધા છૂટછાટ એવી લેવા માંડી કે it doesn't serve the purpose. આપણે બધા વધારે ને વધારે ગૂંચવાયેલા છે. Because the process we do not follow. Prabhupada made us follow. કોઈ આડું અવળું બોલે ને તો પ્રભુપાદ કહે stop that guy. So, what are you chanting? And Prabhupada was so much restricted that we have so many different kinds of lyrics. There's a big problem. You know, musicians and everybody are there. In chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, they don't want to chant seriously, but they want to show their expedite. Now they are learning the second generation, you know. But if that is also going to encourage, we can use them and tell them. But they are, how can we see that they will be growing up in a very serious devotee? No. Discipline means discipline. A disciple means one who is in discipline. આપણને તો કોઈ નવાઈ નથી લાગતી પણ ખરેખર ગૂંચવાળો જ્યારે થાય ત્યારે સમજવું કે આપણે કંઈ ખોટું ખબર છે. આપણે પુણ્યશાળી જીવાત્માઓ આખા ઇન્ડિયા કરતાં વધારે ગુજરાતમાં જ છે, પરંતુ પવિત્ર નથી થતા, ખરડાયેલા છે. હા બોલો.
તમે કહો છો કમ્ફર્ટેબલ અને ગમે તે સિચ્યુએશનમાં
બિલકુલ સંભળાતું નથી, કાને બેરો થઈ ગયો. માઇક આપો. હવે બીજાને નહીં સંભળાશે.
એટલે વાંધો નહીં. હું એમ કહું કે તમે કહો છો કમ્ફર્ટેબલ થઈને તમે માળા કરો તે નહીં સારું થાય, પણ મને તો એવું લાગે કમ્ફર્ટેબલ થઈને બેઠા હોય અને માળા કરતા હોય
શરીરને ત્રાસ આપવાની જરૂર નથી, પરંતુ ગાદી તકે મેળીને હરે કૃષ્ણ કરો તે ક્યાં કર્યું છે?
ના એવું નહીં, પણ આમ જે લિટલ બીટ કમ્ફર્ટેબલ નોટ
દેટ ઇઝ ઓકે.
તમે
કોઈ બીમાર હોય અને ખાટલામાં પડે તો તેને માટે અપવાદ છે.
ઓકે, હા તો વાંધો નહીં. એટલે અમે કરીએ છીએ ખોટું નથી.
ના, કાંઈ ખોટું નહીં, પણ કરો અને જરા આગળ વધો. આપણે ત્યાં ને ત્યાં અટકી બેસવાની જરૂર નથી. જીવન ધાર કે થોડું બાકી રહ્યું તો તેમાં વિભાગ કરીને ફટાફટ આપણે આમ મેળવવાની છે તેટલી તો કરવી જ જોઈએ. આજ સુધી બધાને માટે ઘસાઈ છૂટ્યા, આપણે માટે જ ઘસાવાનું છે. એમ રાખો, એવો સ્વાર્થ બીજો ક્યાંય નથી મળતો. બીજા માટે ઘસાતા હોય તો એ કેટલીક ગાળ ખાવી પડે છે. નથી પડતી કરવાની જરૂર શું છે? ગુજરાતી બહુ ભોળા એમ કે.
You said the right way. That was very perfect.
ભોળા.
ના. આપણા માટે ઘસાવું જોઈએ.
હા, ખરેખરો સ્વાર્થ તો આપણો પોતાનો જ હોવો જોઈએ. એટલે આત્માનો હોવો જોઈએ, શરીરનો નહીં. ન તે સ્વાર્થ ગતિમ હિ વિષ્ણુ દુરાય સરાય દુર્ભય. જેને those who do not have સ્વાર્થ gati means their destination for the self, which is Vishnu. Then they become off track and goes away from bahirartha mani. Antar artha mani na ho જોઈએ, તેને તો bahirartha mani. બરાબર.
So we have a initiation ceremony tomorrow, and it's going to be around 6:30 p.m. After the Aarti, we'll be doing this initiation ceremony over there, and Maharaj will give the class over there too tomorrow. So we have 3 devotees who are taking initiation, and 2 will be doing the second initiation, total 5.
One will be on Zoom.
And 1 will be on Zoom, so total 6. She's taking it?
Yeah, 5 દિવસે કાલે આવશે.
No, she's taking the initiation. Second. Oh, okay. All right.
જો નહીં લેવાતું હોય તો she is coming in Karthik in Vrindavan.
No. Radha Govinda ji ki jai.
Very. Hare Krishna.